What if the peptide you're about to write off as useless never actually got a fair trial in the first place? Everybody assumes the same thing. I felt nothing, so it doesn't work. But before you blame the molecule, there are 5 much more likely suspects. And one of them means your peptide could have been dead on arrival, gone before it ever reached your fridge. Stick around to the end for that one, because it quietly kills more results than placebos, bad genetics, and it's all a scam put together. And almost nobody checks for it. And welcome back to Peptide Corner. I'm Tom, a chartered chemical process engineer, which is a fancy way of saying I get paid to work out why a process that should work doesn't. And a peptide is just a very small, very expensive process. Some quick housekeeping before my legal team draft a strongly worded letter of their own. This video is for educational and research purposes only, not medical advice. And if these teardowns are useful for you, please smash that like button, hit subscribe and click the bell icon. We're a brand new channel and it genuinely helps. Reason 1, and the most common by a mile. You quit before the thing even clocked in. Peptides don't run on Amazon Prime time. People inject for 10 days, see nothing in the mirror, and fire off a 1-star review. But let's look at the actual science. A repair peptide, something like BPC 157 and TB 500, isn't a pre-workout. It's not meant to hit in 20 minutes. It's nudging slow biology. Collagen gets laid down, new blood vessels built, tissue remodeled. That's a job measured in weeks, not days. Realistically, 4 to 6 before you could fairly judge it. Ripping up a protocol 10 days in, it's like binning a cake that looks like soup only 2 minutes in. So that's time covered. But what if you did wait and still got nothing? The second reason is you're taking a fraction of what you think you actually are. Most people mix a dry vial with bacteriostatic water themselves, bathtub chemistry. And if that math is off, your dose quietly becomes mostly water. And here's a mini twist for you. There's actually a flaw to this. A dose response curve below a certain threshold and the biology just shrugs off and does nothing. It's not the molecule's fault, it's the arithmetic. I've got a whole video on getting that reconstitution math right. I'll link it for you below. Because a rounding error on the syringe is one of the easiest ways to convince yourself a perfectly good peptide is a dud. Okay, right dose and enough time. Surely now it works. Which brings us to the awkward one. Reason number 3 is some of which people feel good and bad. It's expectation. I know, nobody wants to hear that the thing they paid for might be partly in their head. But let's look at the actual science, because it does cut both ways. Placebo effects are both real and measurable, especially for the subjective stuff. Energy, mood, pain. That's exactly why comment sections turn into the Civil War. One guy swears it's changed his life, and the other guy thinks it's snake oil. And they both might be telling the truth just from their own experiences. The fix isn't faith, it's controlling the actual variables that you can. And the biggest variable no one controls, it's what's actually in the vial. The fourth reason is the product was never actually what the label claimed. Welcome back to the Peptide Wild West, everyone. Independent labs keep buying grey market vials off the internet, testing them and finding a real chunk of them underdosed, impure, or not the peptide on the sticker. And that certificate of analysis that everybody waves around, a PDF, is easy to fake. So congratulations, whether you like it or not, you've just become your supplier's quality control manager. If you actually want to read one of those lab reports without a chemistry degree, I've made a free 1-page cheat sheet for exactly that. The link's for you below. I've also got a full video on spotting fake COAs, which I'll link for you as well. But let's say you've done everything right. Legit source, real COA, correct dose, enough patients, and still nothing happened. There's one thing that nobody checks. And that's the one I promised you at the start. Your peptide might have died before it even reached you. So let's look at the actual engineering. These molecules are fragile. Heat, light, repeated freeze-thaw cycles physically break them down and make them a clump. And even just a handful of freeze-thaw cycles can measurably knock down how much active peptide is left. Now picture the journey it takes before it even gets to you. It's made overseas, sat in a hot warehouse, flown across an ocean, and then parked on a summer doorstep for 8 hours. It can absolutely look perfect, clear liquid, cap intact, and be an absolute shadow of what it started out to be. There's no warning light with these things. So the useless peptide wasn't lying to you, it just didn't survive the trip. Look, the bottom line is this. Before you write a peptide off, make sure to run through the 5 checks we just did. Did you give it enough time, and is it the right dose? From a source that you actually verified? Was it stored and shipped like the fragile thing that it is? And try separate it from your own expectations. 9 times out of 10, it didn't work, ends up being one of those 5 things and not the molecule itself. I really want to hear from you, so drop a comment below. What's a peptide you were sure was useless? And which of the 5 do you reckon it actually was? And if you're not certain that your source is legit, watch my video on sourcing safe peptide supplies online next. I'll link it for you below. Everything else, the explainers, tools, other videos, it's all on our brand new website, which I'll link for you below. Until next time, and as always, keep safe, keep skeptical, and I'll see you right back here on Peptide Corner.